Today we are in Chapter 4, Lesson 3, which is the elasticity of demand. The essential question for this unit is, what are the causes of change in demand? So prices change all the time, but for sometimes the consequences can be surprising. For example, if you have a store and you wanted to increase your revenue, would you want to increase or decrease the price of your goods? Believe it or not, your total revenue could decrease in either or both cases. So we're going to today examine the relationship between prices and change in quantity demanded to see why. Because quantity demanded depends on the price, economists use a concept called elasticity. Elasticity is the measurement of responsiveness that describes the way a dependent variable changes in response to the change in an independent variable. In economics, price is almost always the independent variable, or the variable that causes the quantity demand to change. So again, when you look at the elasticity of demand, the law of demand says that the price and quantity of demand in the good move in opposite directions. If a price goes up, the demand goes down. Demand elasticity, on the other hand, is the extent to which the change in the price causes the change in the quantity demanding. So if the price goes up, the demand goes down. If the price goes down, the demand goes up. So when you're looking at elasticity, and what you see on the right side is the model, on a curve, the straighter the line, the more inelastic the good is. So if the demand is elastic, it means a change in price causes a large percentage of change in the quantity demanded. Demand can be elastic if there's an attractive substitute, or if the item is expensive, or if the purchase can be postponed. In an inelastic good, it means the change in price has little effect on the quantity demanded. Demand can be inelastic because there's no or few substitutes for that good. So demand for medicine and food, for example, would be inelastic because these things are necessities, which are goods that are needed in order to survive. Demands for luxury items is elastic because buyers are more able to cut back on the quantity demanded, meaning they could find a substitute or find a different variation. This is a good example of a cartoon for elastic demand. When you look at pop or Coca-Cola, if you buy the price, if you see it for $1, it's a good price. So people are going to stock up and buy it because typically it's about $1.50 a gallon, or for a half gallon or a half liter. On the right side, you see Coca-Cola at $3, and the gentleman just says, forget it. I'll wait till it goes on sale or it goes back to a regular price. That's affordable. He might buy a substitute like a tea or a coffee or just water. So to look at the models of what we have there, we need to understand that models are, again, the economic representation of what you'll see. You see on the right side here, up on the top here, you have the inelastic demand. And then you have here is perfectly inelastic. So this would be something, for instance, like a insulin for someone who has diabetes. You're going to buy it no matter what. The demand is going to be there no matter what, as long as you can afford it, because you can't live without it. And elastic demand is something that shows that you're going to buy less if the price is high and more if the price is low. And the bottom you see the perfect example is the perfect inelastic demand or perfectly elastic demand. So the elasticity of demand can usually be estimated by examining the answers to three key questions. All of these three things do not have the same order because it determines elasticity, and in some cases the answer to a single question is so important that it alone might be the one that overrides the other answers to the two. So what I want to do is try to explain what elasticity is as a sense of a chart when we look at what are elastic items. So in your book on page 118, I have this. We could work together through this. What the top corner says is you want to determine if elasticity, if yes, it's elastic, if no, it's inelastic. So let's look at this one by one. The first column is talking about fresh tomatoes, corn, or green beans. On the left side, it's saying, can this purchase be delayed? Well, fresh tomatoes, fresh things, can you delay your purchase of fresh fruit? Yeah, because you might have frozen or other alternatives that you might have already as substitutes at home. Are there adequate substitutes available? Well, again, I just said yes, so there's yes and yes. And does the purchase use a large portion of income? Well, vegetables are pretty inexpensive, so that would be no. So if you look down, it would be yes, yes, no, which that would be an elastic good because we could do something without. We could go without that. So if we fill in this chart, yes, yes, no, and it would be an elastic good. The next column is talking about gasoline from a particular station. So this would be my example of Annandale Country Station. Prices are a little bit higher, but there's a courtesy, it's here. So you want to support a local business. The first thing, can the purchase be delayed? Well, yes, because you could delay it most likely and go to a different gas station. This is, I remember asking for a particular gas station. Are there adequate substitutes available? Yes, because we could go to Sheetz, we could go to the Plaza, we could find different alternatives. Does the purchase use a large portion of income? Well, yeah, gas is expensive, and if we want to fill up, it could be pretty pricey. So if we look down and we answer yes, 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 then the purchase of a gasoline at a particular station is going to be an elastic purchase or an elastic demand because we could do something different with it. Gasoline in general, however, would be pretty different. So if you have gasoline just in general and you're running out of gas and you weren't going to a particular station but you were able to shop around and find the best value, can the purchase be delayed? The answer would be no. Are adequate substitutes available? No, because gasoline is the only alternative we have. Does this purchase use a large portion of income? The answer is yes. And the types of elasticity, that would be then in that case inelastic. The next column, it's looking at the idea of service for medical doctors. Well, if you're going to a doctor, you're not talking about a particular doctor, we're just saying a doctor or medical professional in general. Can the purchase be delayed? No, it really can't. Are adequate substitutes available? No. And does purchase use a large portion of your income? Yes. So we would fill no, no, and yes in, and that would be then an inelastic demand. So what I'd like you guys to do for the last few moments here, and I'm going to go shoot you the answers at the end, I want you to look at insulin and butter in the last two categories, or the last two columns. Take a few moments, pause the video, fill in those two different columns, and let's go through and we'll review them in just a second. All right, welcome back. So if you took a second to pause out the video, we're now looking at insulin, and you can see I already filled in my answers for that. Insulin, something that's a life-saving medicine for people who have diabetes. Can the purchase be delayed? Absolutely not. Are adequate substitutes available? No. Does this purchase use a large portion of income? It says no. It could be a lot depending on if you have health insurance, but still with those two top being no, there's nothing else that you can do. That would be an inelastic purchase. And finally, butter, to finish up that column. Can the purchase be delayed? Yes. Are there adequate substitutes available? Yes. Does purchase use a large portion of income? No, and that means it is an elastic good. So when we go through and we look at these questions, we're able to answer question by question. We can determine what is the dominant trait that makes it either elastic or inelastic. Can we put off that purchase for a little while, or do we need to stay and make sure that we purchase it now? And again, we go back to this cartoon from the beginning. When the price is right, we could buy something if it's an elastic demand. If it's something that we cannot hold off on, like something like insulin or a medication, then it is inelastic, meaning that we're going to pay no matter what because we need that product to survive.